Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome into the Rocky Top Rewind here at Volquest.com, the Volquest.com YouTube channel. I'm Eric Kane. That is Brent Hubbs. We'll be with you here for the next hour, answering your questions on Tennessee's 72-17 win over ETSU, looking ahead to the Georgia Bulldogs' biggest game of the season. At least it's the next game. That's coach talk. But this one really is a big game, right? It's Georgia. We'll have Rusty Manziel coming on from covering the Georgia side. He'll join us around 9:30, and we got a lot of fun to get into here in the next hour or so. Do want to give a shout out real quick before we get going to our presenting sponsors, Spivey King and Spivey LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. TN Trial Lawyers. Pick up the phone today for a free consultation. That number is 423-245-4185, 423-245-4185, or you can check them out online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. All right, Brent Hubbs, it was a whole lot of what we thought was going to happen. It was a lot to a little. Tennessee does set modern era program records for points with 72, first downs is 41, but it was what you wanted to see. Tennessee felt like they handled the week with a lot of maturity, handled the game with a lot of maturity. They got in, they got out, they played a ton of guys, and the result was what we expected. A very, very much lopsided affair.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those deals, and we're going to take everybody's questions here and talk about it. But I mean, listen, everybody's mind at the end of the first quarter was already to Georgia. That's just the reality of it. A lot of guys got a lot of playing time that will help them in their development on down the road, and some sooner rather than later. But what you wanted to do is you wanted to end that one early. They did it. You wanted to play a lot of people. They did it. You wanted to get nobody hurt. They accomplished that. So now you flush that one and move on. There will not be a lot of time spent on that film session with this team. This is very much moving on and get ready for Georgia. There's some things they'll watch. Josh Heupel was not happy at the half, wants to execute a few things better offensively than what they did in the first half. But, that was about young people. And young guys got some important snaps that'll help them later on down the line.
Yeah, I liked a lot of what I saw from the offense. I thought Joey Aguilar looked good again. Gosh, man, you touched on it in your 10 things you thought you learned. 6 drops yesterday, and only 1 from wide receiver, right? 2 from tight ends, 3 from running backs, and I love that Tennessee's involving the running backs in the passing game, but, man, catch the football, and I thought Joey Aguilar's completion percentage and yards could have been a whole lot better if some of those drops, were caught, were caught for Tennessee moving forward, so – but I thought he looked good. I thought Tennessee ran the football very well for the second straight game. I know there's a question in here about David Sanders, and we'll get to that here in just a second. That plan B offensive line with the Jesse Perry bumping out, Shami Morov coming in, Willem Moy flipping over. That's what they ran with against Syracuse. That's what they ran with yesterday. And I know the opponent's ETSU, but 717 yards of total offense. I mean, that's incredible. They ran for over 250 yards yet again. Tennessee was great in the red zone, right? I mean, they were 15 for 15 on the season so far in the red zone. That's what you need. You need to be cashing in down there. Again, the ETSU was the opponent, but the offense is clicking about the way you wanted to heading into a game like this. Now, the test is about, the hill's getting steeper here, okay? They're about to play. Joey Aguilar is going to see a defense he's never seen before. That's Georgia. The schedule's certainly getting tougher from here on out. But so far, this is exactly kind of what you wanted to see, minus 2 unforced errors, one in each week.
Yeah, and if you'd have said back in May, Joey Aguilar was going to be completing nearly 67% of his throws and have 5 touchdowns and no interceptions, and had spread the ball around to the number of receivers he spread it around to, you would have taken that every day and twice on Sunday. And he's been good. He really has been. He's been better than I thought he would be to this point, and I think we all thought he would be solid. His maturity has shown up. The way he's valued the football has been really important. That's got to continue as you move forward against better competition. But I think you feel good about what you've gotten out of Joey Aguilar in 6 quarters of play. And I think given the scenario you were placed in April, to be here where you are with your quarterback play through 2 games, you're pretty elated with what it is, because you hit on a guy who can play, Eric. Is he a world beater talent? I don't think anybody's saying it, but a guy who's fit in well here. He's handled himself the right way. You can see the way this team interacts with him. They like him. I think he's got good leadership skills. I was impressed with the way he interacted with the quarterbacks on the sideline after he was out of the game. He didn't go grab a ball cap and sit on the back bench. He was, I mean, all the way through, had something to say to every quarterback before they started their series and went out there. Even the Phillips kid at the end, he was encouraging him. I liked his leadership. I think there's a lot to like about what he's done. Now, the proof is going to be how you play against the big boys, and we're getting ready to find out because the big boys are coming to town on Saturday.
Yes, they are. And when those big boys roll in the town, will Tennessee have David Sanders? Herman wants to know what's going on with David Sanders. Second straight week, Brent, to where it just wasn't healthy enough to go. It felt like from Josh Heupel's comments that this was a medical staff decision. Also kind of felt like he was a bit perturbed by it. But the fact of the matter is, he was close to going last week, was a part of practice, not full go contact-wise. And then it was decided late in the week that he wasn't going to be able to go. Kind of where are we with David Sanders? What as Austin asked Josh Heupel yesterday, what does he need to do to be available? And then what we were talking about last night, if he's available, Brent, is he a starter at right tackle, or how are you playing that this week?
Well, he's got to be a non-medical scratch first and foremost.
Yeah.
And right now he was a Saturday morning scratch week 1. I think he was a Friday scratch week 2. I think it's one of those things. If you're still uncertain with David Sanders when you get to Thursday evening, then I don't think it's even a question to deal with. If he's cleared and he can play, then I think it's interesting how you manage it. What do you do? Because here's the thing: clearly he was one of your best 5, and you're trying to get your best 5 on the field. At the same time, the 5 you're playing right now in the Plan B group, as you've called them the last couple of weeks, are playing really well. How much do you mess with that right now? Do you think you would be significantly better in this matchup if Jesse Perry was inside? Do you think, given what Georgia has, do you feel like you would be better if he's inside as a guard, and you feel like David Sanders can handle it and hold his own out there against C.J. Allen and some of these guys Georgia has? I don't know. That's for Josh Heupel and Glenn Ellerby to decide. But I don't even think you get into that conversation if you're going to still be an uncertainty with him on Friday morning when you get up. If it's still the case, then I think you just plan on not having him and roll through. If you don't know by Wednesday that he's a for sure go, if there's still the possibility he could test out Thursday, Friday morning as he did this past week, I just think you go, hey, here's our 5, and if he's available, fine. We'll try to work him in. If he's not, we'll wait till next week. And I think that's kind of where Josh Heupel has to be with it right now.
No, I would agree. And, as Matt Ray pointed out on the podcast last night, he's gone through spring. He's gone through fall camp. He's competed against this Rodney Garner defensive line. It wouldn't be it's Georgia, let's not run him out there this week. It would be exactly what you just said. If he's medically cleared to go, it's, okay, well, is available? Do we want to play him in this situation? Does it make sense for you to, if you're ready to go on Tuesday, that you're with the starting 5 and we get this group of core guys going all week long, playing together again? I don't know. We'll see. Again, we don't make almost $1 million like Glenn Ellerby does and $9 million like Josh Heupel does. They got to make those decisions, but certainly he is one of your best 5, and he will be playing when he's full go, ready to roll.
I just don't think you can make that decision if you're still uncertain about him late in the week. If they tell you on Tuesday, hey, he's cleared, he's good to go, barring no more injuries or anything happening on the practice field, and he's good to go, then it's a whole different conversation. If you're still in the unknown world 48 hours before kickoff, you gotta focus on the other 5 that you've been playing with the last 2 weeks, in my opinion.
Nope, I would agree. Wayne sends in a super chat, GBO. Thank you so much for the tip, my man. I hope you enjoyed the weekend in Tennessee getting after it against ETSU. Hope it's a successful weekend coming up against Georgia. Donovan chimes in with a $10 super chat. Donovan, we always appreciate you. Keys to victory. Number 1, find Zachariah Branch. Number 2, be +2 in the turnover margin. Number 3, receivers have to beat press man coverage, something we haven't done against Georgia. Fran Brown should be embarrassed. A lot to unpack right there. Let's work in reverse order. Did you see Syracuse running sprints after their narrow win over UConn yesterday?
Yeah, I get. And Fran Brown ran him with him or something like that. He ran. I don't. That's for show. I don't know that helps you at that point. You got a little social media buzz out of it, I guess, or whatever. And, he's not going to stand for this. I don't. You know,
It does nothing in the moment.
it,
It's just for show, like you
yeah,
said. Not like Fran Brown, but I thought
I
that
do
was
too, and I think he's a solid coach. I think they obviously did not play very well at all in that game, and they've got to get better quarterback play than what they got. Obviously, they rallied to win, but and I think he's a fine coach. I don't know that he's the next up and coming great coach of all time, but I think he's a solid coach. I just don't see where you win doing that. I don't see the benefit of that deal. So
receivers have to beat press coverage, something we haven't done well against Georgia. I completely agree. I mean, going back to that 22 game, 23 last year, I mean, this is something that Tennessee struggled with. And Kirby, former defensive back, former defensive coordinator, of course, that's kind of his MO. Very physical out there. They're going to use that 5 yards to rough you up, try to knock you down. And, Kelsey Pope's always making that a point of emphasis, even the limited time that we got to see in fall camp. I mean, he's sitting there with a little arm dummy. He's just, hitting the crap out of them when they're on the line of scrimmage. You got to be ready for that physicality because that's what Georgia has done the past couple of years, and Tennessee's got to find a way to break through that for sure. Zachariah Branch. With Georgia, it's interesting. Zachariah Branch, of course, coming over via the transfer portal. They always have weapons, that being Georgia. It feels like tight ends, and they've got two pretty good ones right now, and Culp and I forgot the other one.
Is Delp still back?
Delp is there. That might be who I'm thinking of. Delp and I feel like there was another one. Anyway, Delp is the quarterback. You got Dylan Bell, who's the utility. London Humphreys, but Zachariah Branch is kind of added to that mix. Talented playmaker, former 5-star, of course, and trying to get a fresh start with Georgia. Tennessee will have to, know exactly where he is every single play because he's one of those guys that can kind of impact the game, kind of like the kid from Syracuse a couple weeks ago.
Well, what's interesting with Georgia right now is a lot of the Georgia fans are wondering where's the explosiveness in the offense. They've been a little bit kind of ground and pound, and a lot of people talking about Gunner's check down Charlie. He's not pushing the ball down the field. Blah 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 blah. We'll see. I think they'll certainly take their shots down the field on Saturday, and Tennessee is going to have to be ready. I think Tennessee's been good in man coverage. They got to be better in zone coverage than what they've been. But yeah, I mean Georgia's going to test. They're going to test Ty Redmond. They're going to get Branch out there matched up or whoever and try to test him and see what they can get done there. And conversely, Tennessee, when they're on offense, is going to have to find ways to get guys open. Guys are going to have to win. They're going to get pulled and tugged and grabbed and everything else. You're going to have to find a way to be physical and win. You have to win at the line of scrimmage. And I would also agree with Donovan that you would like to be +2 in the turnover margin if you can. You certainly can't be -2 in the turnover margin. I mean, you can probably win this game if you're even. But you better not be in the hole in the turnover margin, and you better not have critical turnovers at critical times. No turnover is ever good, but I'll tell you what you can't do. You can't snap it the wrong way or snap it offline at your 10-yard line and give a team 1st and goal at the 3.
Nope.
You can't do that. Those things, and that would be my only criticism of this offensive line that we've seen is they've got to be more consistent snapping the ball. They rolled one back to Joey in the Syracuse game. They've just had a couple of errant ones that are just you can't have those. Those have to go away immediately.
Yeah, 2 unforced errors first 2 weeks of the season. You fumbled the mesh point against Syracuse on the plus side of the 50. You have a horrendous snap when you're backed up deep in your own territory, giving the ball first and goal from the 5. Just can't have it. I'll tell you what, if I'm Tennessee's defense, I was pissed, right? Like 5 yards, like that's not on us, but those points are going to go against the averages, so that's unfortunate. Also, that other tight end's name, and you probably said his name. I apologize. Lawson Lucky. Yeah, he's back as well. We'll learn more about Georgia.
Well, and here's the thing: the tight ends have always seemingly have given Tennessee some fits in this deal. A lot of talk in the comments over here about being able to stop the run. You got to be able to stop the run, and certainly you have to be able to stop the run for sure. That'll be something. The other thing Tennessee's got to do is they got to get off the field. I had that in. I think I had that in my 10 things. I don't know. Maybe I put that note somewhere today. It feels like Georgia has been exceptional at converting 3rd downs against Tim Banks' defense since this series with Tim Banks has been involved, and that was obviously the case last year. They were 10 of 18 on 3rd down conversions. When you got to when you got a chance to get off the field in this game, you got to get off the field. They've got to win 3rd down Yes, they need to stop the run. That's a given every week, but you've got to win third down.
You got it
Was
right
that that
here.
story? Okay, there it is. I couldn't remember where I put it at, but I looked it up today. They have got to be better. Tennessee's got to be better in third down situations defensively than they were last year. Um, Certainly than they have been. I mean, their best percentage year was year one, and ironically, that was the year when Tim Banks was selling out for everything. I mean, it was wide open. It was home run or it was feast or famine with them at that point. So um, we'll see how aggressive he is, how he mixes it up this week.
Yeah, no doubt. There was a comment on there I just threw up on the board. Somebody saying they were sandbagging because they didn't want to show anything. I don't believe that at all. Now, were they vanilla? I didn't watch the game, but were they vanilla? Were they running everything they have? No. I mean, I don't think Tennessee did either. But sandbagging, no. I think, and again, I haven't watched the game. Obviously, we were covering Tennessee, but don't you think schedule wise, being kickoff moved up an hour and then having a delay in the middle of the game? I mean, that gets you all out of the flow. So like when everybody saw the score, it was like 14-3 for the long time. The final score was 28-9 or 6 or whatever it was. Like I think the weather played a big role into that game. That's just my opinion.
Well, throw on top of that too, they fumbled the ball twice.
Yeah.
One of them going in. I mean, like they gave away some points that they should have gotten. Um, Yeah, I mean, I think that after the weather delay, you're just trying to get done. It was just sort of methodical. I don't think Gunnar Stockton's taking a lot of chances with the ball, but I don't think that means he's afraid to throw it down the field. So um, I don't. Georgia was way too good in week one against Marshall compared to how they were. And they did not go backwards from the Marshall game to the Austin Peay game. Maybe they didn't play well. They had some offensive line things. They were messing around with that lineup. They held out two kids. They had another guy get banged up. So they're playing a different offensive line. And I think they were just trying to get done. And on a long day, you're just trying to get done and try not to get anybody to hurt and move on to the next one. So I don't get too caught up on what that score looked like against Austin Peay.
Do we see Boo on offense this week against Georgia? I thought we would have seen it against ETSU, but is that because Heupel's still punishing Boo, or is it not wanting Georgia to have film? No, here's where I am on Boo, and please tell me if I'm wrong or if you've heard something different. I think before the month of July, he was going to have a role on offense. He was a defender, he was a punt returner, but he was going to play some offense. And then the month of July happened, and then, of course, he was a part-time participant for a little bit in fall camp, and he kind of had to work his way back in. I mean, I'd be shocked if he ran a route of practice at all since he's been back, right? I mean, I don't see that happening at all, at least right now at the beginning portion of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Boo, and we've said this before July happened, Boo's role on offense was going to be about Boo. How much could he handle?
Yeah.
And I think the focus right now for Boo has been about handling your business and being where you're supposed to be every day to get yourself right to play defense, to get yourself right to return punts. And what it morphs into as we go along, we'll see. You're also averaging nearly 60 points a game, right? I mean, I mean, they've put up a lot of offensive numbers, so it's not like they're struggling to make plays.
Yeah.
So I mean, could they pull out a trick play here or there along the way? Maybe. Do I think there's going to be some grand offensive package for Boo Carter? It certainly doesn't feel like it right now.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, is Tennessee going to face adversity offensively? Yes. Do they need a spark right now? No. And so that's why I can answer that question. A couple more questions here we'll hit on. Again, we got Rusty Manziel coming up at 9:30. Talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Trey says hopefully Moy will be ready to go this week. Tennessee needs him, Brent. He was held out, obviously, this past weekend. Well, obviously, I think it's a day-by-day thing to see kind of where he is towards the end of the week, getting out there on the grass, as Josh Heupel would say. But Tennessee absolutely needs Jackson Moy in the interior.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll see if he can go. They're going to have some guys step up. Don Bailey's going to have to play down in there inside. Nathan Robinson's going to have to continue to play like he played against Syracuse. He's going to have an effect on the game. You need Wallace to to insert himself in there and be a bigger factor. I thought he was better this week. Had his feet under him a little better this week than he did in the Syracuse game. I know it was a level of competition, but I think he had a better feel for things in there. Bryson Eason's going to have to play a lot of snaps, probably more than you want him to play. But Georgia's going to test you up front and see if you can stop the run. and Tennessee's going to have to be good on the defensive line. Their linebackers are going to have to feel and play well in the run game, because I think Georgia wants to play a little more play action pass, a little less, spread type stuff. I think they're going to try to come downhill at you pretty good. At least that's what it feels like to me. They've run the ball pretty well the first 2 weeks. I think they had 190 yards against Austin Peay, and they ran for well over 200 against Marshall.
It's interesting, too, because last year Georgia was not good running the football. And that's kind of shocking because Georgia's been a very good running football team under Kirby. Last year they were like 14th, 15th in the SEC. I mean, I know they had some injuries there, but man, it was kind of confusing.
Well, and they're kind of a group of no names at running back. Like I'm not going to call them pedestrian because that sounds like they're not talented, can't play, but they don't have that budding star, that one guy that you're like, wow, that's the next one. It doesn't feel like that right now. Well, Rusty may have a better feel. He will have a better feel for that than I do. But just kind of looking at stats and some highlights, it doesn't feel like there's a guy saying, oh, he's the next one. It's been by committee, and they've just kind of gotten it done through 2 games. And obviously they're going to face a stiffer challenge this week in Tennessee.
Jeremiah with a really good question. Is this one of those I'll believe it when I see it games, or are the Vols primed to win this one? Is this on the level of the Swamp in Florida? Or
no, here's the thing with the Swamp in Florida, and this is why that game is what it is for me. That game is because Tennessee has lost that game every way humanly possible down there. I mean, they really have. There's been blowouts, but there's been Hail Marys, weird fumbles, 4th down conversions. They have had those games won down there and lost them. In this series, Tennessee, won the Hail Mary game. They had the Pig Howard fumble game, which was obviously they were going in to win, and they end up losing that game at that point. But there hasn't been a quirky loss, like a fluke play, something bizarre happened. That's how you lose the game, like there was at Florida. And it seems like Tennessee's found every way to do that at Florida. So that's why the Florida series, no one will be in the category that the Florida series is in for me, because there's no way you're going to lose that many games that many different ways in bizarre fashion.
I want to hit on 2 more real quick before we hit our first break and get Rusty Manziel in here to talk Georgia when we return. The play action tight end over the middle will be the death of us on Saturday. Boy, the middle of the field was open for business last year. I'm sure they've watched the tape. They're going to learn from it, but man, they've got – and that's where you've been talking about zone coverage, middle of the field, right? Linebacker, safeties. Cornerback play's been pretty good. They got to tighten up on that for sure, because Georgia drilled them with that last year.
Yeah, they got to be better in the middle. Safeties and the nickelback have to communicate better. They've got to play better at the safety position and coverage. And their zone stuff has not been good enough, and it's got to be better than what it's been so far, because Georgia's going to attack you in the middle of the field.
Yeah, Georgia will attack in the middle of the field. Donovan here. Golish or Napier? Who coaches in the SEC next year? What a win for Alex Golish. Always a good day when Florida loses, but man, Golish he was close a couple times with Alabama last 2 years, and he got Florida yesterday.
Billy Napier actually works against Alex Golish for the Florida job in a bizarre kind of way. He beats him, and it might be the end of Billy Napier. But if you're Florida, can you go back to the group of 5 to hire your next coach? You just did that with Billy Napier, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Can you come back? Typically, you don't hire the same level or the same type person. I'm not saying they're the same type coaches, but typically if you hire an assistant and it doesn't work, then you're hiring a sitting head coach the next time. If you hire an offensive guy, then the next time you hire a defensive guy. So can you hire back-to-back group of 5 coaches, or do you put a lot of money in for, Lane Kiffin or maybe even Jeff Lebby if he wins big at Mississippi State? I think then Golish can be in the SEC. I just don't know that Golish can be at Florida. I think he could be somewhere else in the SEC. I'm not sure Golish wants that Mississippi State job. That's a really hard job. I think Ole Miss would be attractive. Certainly he would listen and be interested in Florida if Florida called as well.
No doubt, especially with the way that program can recruit down there in the Sunshine State. We'll continue discussing Tennessee, win over ETSU, but when we come back, Rusty Manziel from Dogs HQ going to join the show to give us a scout on the Georgia Bulldogs. College game day is going to be in town, Tennessee and Georgia. Will this be the first time Tennessee wins since 2016? Couple days, we'll know the tale. Back up for more when we return right here on the Rocky Top Rewind. We give some thanks to our friends, our presenting sponsor of the Rocky Top Rewind and Game Quest each and every game day here this football season. That is Spivey, King, and Spivey LLP. Matthew A. Spivey, J. Matt King, Richard A. Spivey, they're great guys. Tennessee fans like you and I, and if you've got a problem, let them find a solution for you. T and Trial Lawyers. They specialize in criminal defense, family law, personal injury, divorce, custody, alimony, personal wrecks, or personal injuries such as wrecks, accidents, DUIs, whatever the case may be. They can help you. Over 80 years of combined experience, Spivey King and Spivey LLP provides representation throughout state and federal courts in Northeast Tennessee. The firm has a vast amount of trial experience. Practice has been in place for 43 years. This specific partnership with those three guys I just mentioned since 2012. Also having partners who are energized for today's modern legal demands. They practice primarily in Northeast Tennessee, the Tri-Cities of Sullivan County, as well as Hawkins County, Washington County, and surrounding areas. The firm has multiple awards with attorneys who are rated by super lawyers in the Mid-South with real trial experience. Whether you've been injured in a car accident, need help with a divorce, help with custody of your children, or you've been accused of a crime, Spivey King and Spivey LLP, they can help you. Pick up the phone today, dial this number for a free consultation, 423-245-4185. That is 423-245-4185, or check them out online at SpiveyKingandSpiveyLLP.com. Big thanks to our presenting sponsors of the Rocky Top Rewind. That is Spivey King and Spivey LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. That is TN Trial Lawyers. Hey guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time, proud presenting sponsor of Volquest.com this football season. And the app for Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans, right? It's a hack to unlocking amazing tickets, experiences in just a few steps. Incredibly easy to use. The Game Time guarantee means that you can trust you're going to get 100% authentic tickets on time at the best prices, plus fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay for. So many times this is not just for sporting events for Tennessee football this fall. This could be for concerts at the Food City Center. It could be for anything going on in town right now. You know, a lot of times you can buy tickets for those events on the Game Time app. And the closer you wait till kickoff or to the start of the concert or whatever, the cheaper these tickets get. So it really kind of helps the procrastinator like me and maybe you as well. So check that out at the Game Time app, or you can go to gametime.co, gametime.co as well. Exclusive discounts like zone deals. You can choose the section. Game Time selects the seat for you. You save money. Buy college football tickets the best way. Tickets for every kind of event in your area. Views from your seat again. All that and more is on the Game Time app. So check it all out today. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets this football season with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the redeem code ON3. Redeem code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem code ON3, ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. There we go. I'm going to unmute my mic right here. Welcome back into the Rocky Top Rewind here on a Sunday night. I am Eric Kane. That's Brent Hubbs, and we are going to be joined by the publisher over at Dogs HQ. That is Rusty Manziel, to get us set up for Tennessee and Georgia this weekend at Neyland Stadium. Rusty, appreciate you joining us, man. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for sticking to our deal. As long as Austin wasn't here on a tank top, I was going to join tonight. So thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Tell us about Georgia, man. Different looking team a little bit. Kind of a weird day yesterday with Austin Peay with the delays and moving kickoff up a little bit. But kind of what you're feeling this Georgia team early in the season.
Well, first of all, the positives, I think defensively probably a little bit better than I thought. You know, we're going to find out. They haven't been tested anything like we're about to get tested here in a couple of days. But offensively, you don't beat around the bush, man. It's something kind of head scratching right now. You don't know where they're at, what their identity is. I feel certain they've got some really good playmakers. They went out and spent in the portal. They got these wide receivers. They got these guys, but right now it's not clicking. And I think it's a lot of different things. It's easy to point just at Gunnar Stockton, but it's right now Georgia's got some real serious questions, and we're going to find out a lot about Georgia next week in Knoxville. and then in 2 weeks, off week, and then they play Alabama at home. We're going to know exactly kind of where Georgia is, I think, at the end of September.
Rusty, what is it about the offense that has surprised you? I mean, you're close to them. You know the talent from their high school days all the way through. Based on what you thought this offense would be to what it's been through 2 games, what is the biggest surprise of this thing?
Well, the ability to drive the ball down the field. I know Gunnar Stockton has the arm. I've watched him play since he was in the 9th grade. Now, does he have the biggest arm? No, but he definitely has an arm big enough to, he can make the throws. He kind of hurts you with his legs. He's kind of a improvised guy. You know what I mean? He's not going to drop back and throw the ball like Jake Fromm did. Jake Fromm really wasn't a guy that was going to move around the pocket, but he would hurt you pre-snap. He knew exactly what you were doing at all times, but before you could get into it, and he would anticipate. Jake Fromm had an average arm. Let's be honest with you. He had a unbelievable mind, and he can anticipate throws. And one thing I'm not seeing out of Gunnar right now, he's not anticipating throws. He's not trying to throw people open. The tight ends yesterday didn't. Guys, you know Georgia football. The tight ends had 0 targets yesterday. That's one of their most talented rooms right now. Oscar Delp's got 2 on the year. Lawson Lucky's got 1, and I think Elias Williams has 1 catch. The tight ends are not involved at all. So it's just really no identity. A couple of positives, I would say the running game's a little better than I thought. Chauncey Bowen's, the emergence of him, to Dwight Phillips. I wasn't real sure how they were going to use him. This is a kid that ran a 10-1-5 100 meters. His dad's an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, this kid can freaking roll now. He put on 15 pounds in the offseason. He looks very good to me at running back. But to win a game like Tennessee and win on the road in a place like Neyland, you're going to have to make some big-time throws. And yesterday, for whatever reason, man, it just was not there. It's kind of a head-scratcher.
When you when you look at Gunnar, I mean, he's not played a ton. Is this just getting comfortable in it? Is this him being too cautious with the football? Is this him not trusting protection in front of him? Is it a combination of all things? Or is this all overblown, Rusty, because it's 2 games against 2 teams you were favored by a gazillion points. You blew out Marshall in the first one. You had a crazy day timing-wise yesterday, and okay, whatever, move on to the next one.
I think Brent, you hit it right on the head. I think it's a little bit of, he is a 4th-year kid, but this is only his 3rd start. And I kept telling people in the offseason, listen, when Gunnar Stockton gets off the bus against Marshall, that's the first time he's ever walked in that building where he's the guy. You know what I mean? So he admitted he had a lot of nerves in that game. You go in yesterday and your schedule gets thrown off a little bit, but you're still a much more talented team. And it's not all on Gunnar now. There were some breakdowns. They had 2 starting their starting offensive tackle, Ernest Green, on the right side, right tackle, right guard, Juan Gaston, who's been unbelievable as a true freshman. He's the first true freshman to start since, believe it or not, Cade Mays was the last true freshman that started at Georgia. And this is a guy. So that was 2019 season, I believe. So when you look at that, it's few and far between with guys. He got hurt on the 2nd series of the game. Not sure he's going to play this week. I do anticipate Ernest Green being back at right tackle, so that'll help some. But it's not all on him. But I think it's a combination of a lot of things. And I do think at some point there's some confidence there. Like he's going to have to step in there and throw it and know and trust your wide receiver. I say this a lot. Sometimes your guy's got to out-athlete the other guy, and you just got to throw it up and trust that guy. And right now he's not doing that.
So speaking of Stockton, this will be his first true road game start, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as far as walking into what he's about to walk into, he has not seen this. And that's
so kind of on that note, how do you think he'll handle the environment? Because Neyland's going to be rocking.
Neyland's going to be rocking. And they're going to have to, somebody asked me today, tell me how Georgia. I said, Georgia's got to have a fast start. You know what I mean? They got to have a fast start. I do think defensively they're going to be really good. I think Georgia, for whatever reason, has matched up really good with Josh Heupel. I looked at Tennessee stats afternoon. I know Aguilar's slinging around. He hasn't been sacked all year. I went back and looked at the stats. Last year, Georgia had 6 sacks against Tennessee. And in particular, it was the linebackers. It was Jalen Walker, Smile Monday, and all those guys are gone. But that's how Georgia has kind of approached that. They brought inside backers and different types of things. That is Georgia's strength. Chris Cole's a 5-star kid. I think everybody's about to find out how good he is. Justin Williams, a 5-star at Texas. This guy can freaking play. So, there's a lot of things there. But you look at Gunnar in this particular thing, you don't know how he's going to react. And they better start quick, because if Neyland gets on top of you, it's going to be a long night and be a long afternoon up there.
Rusty, you talk about the matchup, and obviously that first year that Kirby played and Josh played in Knoxville in 21, Tennessee had guys running open. I think Kirby adjusted to Josh Heupel's system faster than anybody else in the SEC who plays him on the regular has adapted to it. And it feels like Kirby Smart's decision defensively is we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be offensive. We're not going to play this. We're afraid of getting it thrown over our head deal.
Yes.
Do they have the corners? Are they in the secondary where they've been in the past to be able to play that aggressive style they've been able to play against Josh Heupel?
I think their corners are really good.
Okay.
I worry about their deep end. You know what I mean? Like when you go from Malachi Starks and KJ Bolden, Malachi Starks was a first rounder. He's gone. KJ Bolden, super talented, probably going to be a first rounder in 2 years. The guy that's playing there right now, this will be a huge test for Kyron Jones, who's been playing. I don't think he's Malachi Starks, and that's just being reality now. He's got to do what he's got to do. But I promise you, Tennessee's going to take some shots at 31, and they're not going to play around that deep end. You know, you start looking at Malachi Starks last year and KJ Bolden, you're not going to mess around with that deep end too much. You're not going to make a living there. But Dalen Everett's been really good. Dalen Everett had one of the best turnarounds, I think, one of the Georgia defensive backs in a while. Now, Ellis Robinson, okay, the 24 class, ESPN had him the number one player in America, regardless of position. He was the number one player in the class. Comes into Georgia last year, doesn't start, and people's like, what's going on? You know, this guy's supposed to be, you know, Travis Hunter type player, and he didn't get to start last year, but they had some good players. Right now, he has that job over Daniel Harris, so I feel pretty good where Georgia is there. But on the back end, if I'm Kirby Smart and Glenn Schumann, and I'm looking at Joey Aguilar and those damn deep balls he throws, the deep ball accuracy is what stood out to me with him. He doesn't miss that deep shot too much. What I've seen so far, he's going to take some shots at particular number 31, and we'll find out pretty quickly. Here's another thing. I don't know if he's going to do it this week, but Kyron Jones played with a club on his hand. And you start talking about a safety, you're going to need both hands when they're dropping bombs on you all day. So we'll see. They brought in 3 portal transfers at safety, and he winds up winning the job. So they knew they needed a safety. They knew they needed a guy right there. And right now, that's still a question mark on that deep end, trying to replace Malachi Starks.
So who's the other corner? You mentioned Harris, but Everett's beat out Harris. You mentioned
it's Dalen Everett. It's Dalen Everett, and right now Ellis Robinson. The star position is Jonel Aguero, who's come a long way in his coverage. I feel good with him. I feel good with KJ Bolden. But again, the back end against a team like Tennessee is going to take shots would concern me. And you're right, Brent. Georgia has kind of played this. We're going to manual. The one thing I know, just talking to some people over the years about their philosophy and playing that, they try to keep everything underneath, and they feel like you've got to control the box because Tennessee wants you to get a light box in Tennessee. That's what people that don't know enough about Tennessee, he wants to run the freaking ball. Like he wants to spread your ass out and get light in the box and then come at you. And they've won a lot of games like that. You take a running back like Dylan Sampson last year. That dude was absolutely killing people in that offense. So Georgia, you have to be able to control the box. So we'll find out about their defensive line. So far, they've been well. Do they have an NFL first round on defensive line? I don't think they do right now, but I think as a whole, they're pretty good. But you look at Tennessee, they're going to spread you out. They're going to play the numbers game, and you better be able to stop the run.
Rusty, does Kirby like this team? Is this he's had so many elite players, so many first day draft picks, top 10 picks. This one feels a little more blue collar.
He does like this team.
Is this and not that he's not enjoyed coaching, top 10 NFL picks, but does he like the personality? But it's kind of a group thing and not an individual thing.
The one conversation I had with him back in May at a golfing event, and had him talking to some other guys and everything, he did mention like I don't know how damn good we're going to be, but I really like this group. This is it's a young group. It's a hungry group. And, it felt like he had a good group of kids, felt like they really liked the portal guys they brought in, that they really feel like they've hit on this true freshman class. You guys will see that Saturday. There'll be a lot of true freshmen play, a lot more than I kind of anticipated. They really feel like they've hit. But, as far as I know, they've hit. And I say this about Gunner, man. I mean, Gunner's, he's everything that's right about college football. This kid waited his turn. He's not out raising hell. He's a really good kid. I know he gets a lot of publicity, but for having a 40-year-old F-150, I don't want to break the news, but he does have a pretty nice brand new truck too. He drives around, so he's not just all day every day in that F-150, that old single cab. But he's a great kid. He's a great person, and you want guys like that to be successful. Look, I'm very close to a lot of people on Tennessee's team. I know Mike Matthews, his family. You couldn't ask for a better kid than Mike Matthews, man. And that family and spending time around him. I know, Jake Merklinger, and covered him since the ninth grade. Great kid, man. I'll never forget watching Jake Merklinger absolutely take a beating against Cedar Grove, the state championship and the semifinals that year. And he got up every single play. I could not believe how tough he was. So, you root for those types of kids. And I think Georgia's got a good mix of them right now.
All right. So on that note, since you know the high school scene that well, have you seen anything from Ty Redmond at Tennessee? What did you think of Ty Redmond coming out of Milton High School? I mean, he's a starter. Now, part of that's because of injury, but he has played really well. Does that surprise you that he's had a quick impact at the college game, Rusty?
No. I saw him when he was at St. Francis when he was a sophomore, and they had a bunch of guys like Brandon Jacobs and all those guys. They were loaded for a small private school. They were all there as sophomores, and then they all left. Half of them went to Buford, and half of them went to Milton. I remember standing there the day Willie Martinez was there. It was the end of his sophomore year. He was about to be a junior. I remember Tennessee being there and Clemson being there and watching a practice. And I'm watching 7 kids. But I remember going, damn, who is this lone corner right here? And I looked at Willie, and he was like, oh, yeah, we own this one. They were on this guy early. Then he transitions from single A private up to 7A. He was the 7A champions, and then they were the 6A champions. Milton back to back. So no, it doesn't. He's been in big time. He's been in major big time battles. You got to compete at a high level. I had a college coach tell me one time, and I stick by this. I had a college coach tell me one time, the kids from Florida might be more athletic, but the kids from Georgia are ready to play, and they're ready to play early. And I attribute that to the great high school coaching in the state of Georgia. And that's why there's so many schools here. That's why there's so many people recruiting this state.
And Willie Martinez said the same thing. Like last week when we were talking to him about Ty Redmond, he gave props to the coaching staff that he came from at Milton and, really the entire state. Last thing I got for you, man, I really appreciate your time. We kind of hit on this Georgia team all over. You mentioned tight ends. Tell me about the skill. You bring in Zachariah Branch. He's got 6 receptions on the year. Colby Young. Noah Thomas is on this roster. Dylan Bell's still there. He killed Tennessee 2 years ago. What's the like about the skill in this offense for Gunnar Stockton?
You got to love it. I hate to bring up the subject, but you got to think, what would Carson Beck done with that group of wide receivers? You know what I mean? Like, Brent, you'll see it Saturday in warm-ups. I mean, Colby Young's 6'5", Noah Thomas is 6'6", Zachariah Branch is elite, like sudden on you. He's a great punt returner. I think they're going to have to use him more. The kid that doesn't get enough burn really is the kid that came from Vanderbilt, London Humphreys. I mean, he really had to put on some weight, but this is a 10,500 meter guy. Last time I talked to Barton Simmons, he said that crushed me, man. That kid leaving because they'd recruited him, for 3 or 4 years. But he's a kid that plays the tight ends. You guys are going to see this guy when you're there. I want you to watch number 10. He's Elias Williams. He's a true freshman from Camden County. He's 6'7.5". He's 245 pounds. I mean, this dude is like, it's an alien when you see him. So, they used him in the first game and he got a touchdown. So I don't know where he's going to be this week, but when you see number 10, you're like, I can't believe that guy. Everybody says that's Darnell Washington. That's not Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington was a freaking tight end. He was a tackle playing tight end. He was 6'7", 290. And I still say if he would switch to left tackle in NFL, he'd play 10 more years. This is a very athletic AAU basketball type kid that's playing football. So skill-wise, I think Georgia's as good as they've been. But if they're not getting touches, something's not right. This is kind of digging into this. One last thing on it. I will be very surprised if Georgia doesn't use Gunnar in the run game this week. Like, you've got to use him in the run game this week, and some RPO stuff, and can't sit there and drop back 25 times with him up there this week. They will not win this football game. They're gonna have to use his legs, and he can move the chains when he needs to. Took a shot early in the game yesterday, and I think Kirby put the clamps on him because he ran one for about 11 yards and it got sandwiched in between 2 safeties. Kid hit him hard. You cannot take those shots, but they're going to have to use him in a run game this week.
All right, Rusty. A lot of Tennessee fans going to say all week long, Kirby's sandbagging the last 2 weeks. That they're going to unleash it. It's been it's been by design. Check down Charlie at the quarterback position, and they're just kind of muddling through the waters to get there. They sandbagging.
I don't think offensively they have. I think they're struggling now. Defensively, yes, they have. So here's what I'll tell you that I don't know, but when the first time it's 3rd and 9 for Joey Aguilar, you're going to see what Georgia, their third down package. Jalen Walker became a first rounder because of how they used him. Smile Munden was a high draft pick because of how they used him. Kobe Dean, all those guys. How does Georgia attack them in their blitz packages? Who's in on 3rd down? How do they line up and dime? They played. Don't let me get into football nerd. They played dime mode against Texas. Nope, they didn't play it all year against them. They put Chris Cole, a linebacker, on that tight end for Texas, and he shut him out for 2 games. They will throw a wrinkle in on you. I guarantee you they've got something they haven't shown Tennessee yet. Will it work? I don't know. But defensively, they have played very vanilla. So we'll see. And if you're watching the game, kind of see what's going on 3rd downs and those type of things. And are they bringing their inside backers, or they trust their edge guys, because they've attacked 2 different ways. But offensively, they're not holding back. They're struggling, and they got to get it fixed.
Rusty Manziel, he's the publisher of Dogs HQ. If you want to get the Georgia perspective on this rivalry game throughout the week, go check it all out. He and his staff do great work. As always, Rusty, thank you so much, and looking forward to Saturday.
I want to make a note. I got 2 jerseys that hang in my office. One's Alvin Kamara, and it's a Tennessee pitcher. So a lot of people might kill me for that, but that's my Tennessee connection, man. Love me some Kamara.
Man, hey Rusty, thanks, man. We appreciate you. Always a blast, buddy. We'll see you.
Thanks, appreciate it, guys.
All right, thanks. I'm telling you right now that's as candid. He's as candid as you'll get about Georgia, inside out. The positives, where they're at, the concerns, and everything else. We certainly appreciate him spending some time with us and visit. Good insight on where the Dogs are right now.
I just took a lot of notes. I got my first glance all right here. It'll take me 5 minutes to write it tonight. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah, good stuff. Really good stuff. They're interesting. Where I thought his last answer to that question about, you knew they were pretty vanilla on defense. What wrinkles are they going to have to throw at Tennessee that they haven't seen, that Joey Aguilar at 24 years of age is going to have to adapt to on the fly quickly? And then on the flip side of it, how much does Stockton's legs come into a play? Because Tennessee's not really faced a running quarterback yet. You can't freelance when you got one of those guys you got to deal with.
Yeah, and on the flip side, I think Tennessee needs to run. I mean, this is one of those games, right? Pick and choose your moments.
You got to run.
You want to run your quarterback. This is
got to run. Both quarterbacks got to run in this game. I think Stockton's going to have to run for Georgia to move the chains. I think Tennessee's going to have to do some stuff with Joey Aguilar to move the chains as well with his legs.
We'll get back to some of the questions. So if you guys have any questions here, put them in the chat. We'll work our way through it here over the next 13 minutes or so. Rusty kind of talked about it here a moment ago. Can Georgia throw the ball down the field? Haven't seen them play yet, but the box score looks weak. He's got the talent, as Rusty just pointed out. Colby Young, tall, 6'5". Zachariah Branch is a big-time athlete. Noah Thomas, 6'5". Dylan Bell. You got the Lawson Lucky at tight end. You've got Oscar Delp at tight end. Again, the list goes on and on and on. So it was Marshall. It was Austin P. Might have had the clamps on a little bit, pretty vanilla regardless, but certainly the personnel is there, and that's going to be a challenge. Like we pointed out earlier in the show, Tennessee's safeties, Tennessee's linebackers, middle of the field, got to come ready and prepared to play, because Georgia attacked that area all game long last year, had success. They're going to do it again.
Yeah, think about that game last year. I mean, Carson Beck who's a really rhythm passer, right? Like, he's a guy still now. I think the other night he was playing one point he completed like 12 in a row, and then he might miss 5 in a row. That's kind of who he is. But you think about it, Tennessee got off to a great start in defending them last year. I mean, they've got field position in their favor. A lot of things are going. Beck hits a 3rd down play and a zone defense that ball should have been batted away. It was just misplayed by the Tennessee defensive back, and he got hot moving from there. I think if you're Tennessee, man, you'd love to make a play in the middle of the field early and not give Gunnar Stockton confidence to keep going back to the middle of the field. You want to try to make him gun shy in the middle of the field if you can. I think that's what Rusty's talking about, them getting off to a good start. I think defensively, Tennessee needs to have something good happen to them in the middle of the field, maybe to cause a little bit of hesitation out of that Georgia offense.
I like this question right here. Over under on 12 personnel snaps. I didn't track it in either of these first two games, but I mean, Brent, they're running it a ton, right? I mean, that's the change up to if a slot receiver were to get hurt or something, this is what they do. But, I mean, gosh, man, they run it nearly, I want to say probably 40% of the time. They're in 12 personnel a lot. It's a strength, and I think that they're going to be in 12 personnel a ton on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think because of that, Tennessee's wide receiver rotation is pretty small. I mean,
Yeah.
we've talked all off season about, hey, they're going to play more guys. These freshmen got to be ready to play. Everything. They're going to play some of those guys, but basically, I think you're going to see a pretty tight receiver rotation. And I want to see how the 12 personnel impacts the Georgia game. Can they do some stuff out of the 12 personnel stuff? They've hit a couple of big plays out of 12 personnel out of that wing, that tight end wing set. They seem to like where they kind of bunch guys up a little bit. The touchdown to Braylon Staley, he bumped out wide as a receiver. He can play inside or outside. He's the one they can move around. I think they like some of the things they're doing in the two tight end sets. I think they're going to stay in it a great deal.
I agree. I do too. I think they're comfortable there. They're deep at that position. I mean, Jack Van Dorselaer, they can't get enough of him. I mean, he just continues to get out there and make some plays. And Ethan Davis, had a holding call on a pancake block that negated Tennessee's first touchdown yesterday.
I really like that penalty, by the way. I didn't. When you rewatched it, did you think that was an egregious hold, or did you think that was a pancake?
I thought it was a pancake, but I saw his hands on the back of his jersey. And so if I'm an official and I see that, I'm like, okay, well, I can throw the flag.
Right. But was that because he grabbed around the guy, or did the guy turn and that's kind of where his hands ended up? That's what I couldn't tell. Yeah. I thought it was a bit more of a pancake, but I thought the official threw the flag because his hands were outside the body. Like his hands were visible on the outside. He almost looked like he had a bear hug in the pancake block. I thought that's why he got the penalty.
And certainly that might have been when he saw it and he threw the flag, right? Yeah. But I mean, in real time and on real watch, I'm like, man, that's a pancake. What are you doing? Then I slowed it down. I'm like, oh, there's the hand. Yeah. So I understand that at least.
By the way, I thought that was a safety too. I wasn't sure that he got out of the end zone on that one. I'm surprised they didn't take a longer look at that one, because I thought that was the other ones at the goal line. I thought they got right. Brazel was clearly down. Yeah. That was a good call there. But, man, that felt like a safety to me on the one that they marked at the inch line or wherever they marked that ball there.
I completely agree. I thought it was a safety in real time. I thought it was a safety on rewatch.
Okay.
I mean, it worked out, but still, I wasn't for sure how they managed to, from so far away, run up and spot it there at the 1 inch line. Jason, do you think bringing pressure on Georgia is the key to limiting their explosive plays? I think Tennessee needs to blitz more. And again, you weren't going to blitz yesterday. They blitzed some. They blitzed well, with the linebackers. A couple of delayed blitzes on third downs. Spillman got home. Arion Carter got home. I think Tennessee's got to be aggressive for sure. And certainly, free up those guys to go. Not free up. Allow them to. You can't do it every play, but man coverage in the back end. Bring pressure up front. I think an aggressive style, just like Georgia's been playing Tennessee, is kind of the way to go in this one.
Well, I think Tennessee has to make Gunner Stock. They have to speed him up. You can't let him get comfortable back there. And right now, outside of Joshua Josephs, who's gotten home twice in 2 games, where do you look at that Tennessee defensive front, Eric, and say, man, pressure's coming from there? I know West got a sack yesterday, but I don't know that you look at that front and say, man, they got that guy's really going to get a good inside push to get in his face and pressure the quarterback. Boy, they got some real edge pressure there. I think you may be forced to be more aggressive with your linebackers, bringing linebackers, because I don't know that you feel real comfortable that you can affect the quarterback on a consistent basis with your front 4.
Yeah, I completely agree. David said, who was number 20 at running back? That is Justin Baker. He's from Buford, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, another one of those Georgia boys. He ran the ball really strong there in the second. I love these Tennessee running backs, man. Juan Morris is going to be good. Baker is going to be pretty solid. I thought he looked good yesterday.
And I think the Morris touchdown run will be the jump start play for him. Not necessarily for this week, but I'm talking about moving forward in his career. That's the first play that I thought he looked like he was playing on a high school field again. He set it up, he bounced it out, he felt it. You know what I mean? He wasn't in a big hurry just to try to bulldoze into something. He set that play up well. To me, if you're him, you can take from that, yeah, man, all right. Yeah, I've done this all my life. I thought in the Syracuse game he was way too fast. I thought he was just it was all a blur to him when he got that one series at Syracuse. I think that run yesterday will be a big catalyst for his development moving forward.
Ryan said it feels like we blitzed twice as much in Tim Banks' first 2 years. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they had to be that aggressive his first 2 years because they didn't have a lot of depth. They couldn't get home with the front four. And at times last year, man, they loved to zone up in the back end and just rush their four and try to get to the quarterback. And I thought they were too reliant on that at times. I thought they needed to mix it up a little bit, blitz from the second, third layer. But his first couple of years, they had to be that aggressive because they had to put pressure on the quarterback because they weren't very good defensively, in my opinion. It's different now. You're much deeper in certain spots. The level of athlete on your roster across the board is much different. But again, going back in a game like this, Gunnar Stockton, first true road start, Neyland Stadium. Rusty says they got to get off to a good start. Boy, I'm putting that pressure on him, and I'm making him eat dirt the first couple of plays. If I'm Tim Banks, and that means I'm blitzing the star, I'm blitzing some of those backers. I'm getting after it.
Well, remember to go back to 2021. Tennessee they're playing over their head at Alabama. They've got that into a one-score game and late in the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter.
Start of the fourth quarter.
There's a third and long play, right? Tim Banks has no other option. He has to blitz on third and long, and what does he do? They give up a 70-yard, some crazy long touchdown pass, completely changed the game. He didn't have any other choices back then. Last year, they could play coverage because their corners were good, and they felt like they could affect the quarterback enough with their front four. You may not like it at times, but the reason Tennessee was a playoff team last year was because of their defense and the way that team could play. Now, what I will tell you this year, based on what we've seen in 2 games, Eric, I don't think you can play exactly that way as you did a year ago because I don't think your front four has shown enough dynamics yet to be that way. So you probably have to hybrid it and mix it up a little bit more. Some of what you did early in your tenure at Tennessee and some of what you did last year, and be a little more multiple in your looks and your approach to pressuring the quarterback.
I agree, especially with where you are, injury-wise on the interior, right? But if you give me like a Rabbits package of, Josephs, give me Herring, give me Bailey and Eason on the inside, go get after it. Tyree West, again, he's not going to do it now, but he used to slot inside on Rabbits as well. Tennessee can certainly get after it with 4 men, at the line of scrimmage, but because of the injury situation, you can't bank on that, especially right now in a game like this against Georgia. I like this question, and it's hard for me to ever go against trench play, but it's the most important matchups for success in this game: offensive line versus defensive line, or wide receivers versus their defensive backs. It is hard for me to ever say you can't win at the line of scrimmage and win a game like this, but you and I have continued to make this a point. Tennessee's wide receivers, they got to be big boys, right? They cannot get pressed, they cannot get knocked off routes. They've got to win at the point of attack because those corners are going to press because they've always pressed and they've won this matchup, Heupel's first 4 years. I'm still going to go trench battle, but I think it's always a big week, but I think this is such a massive week for Kelsey Pope's group.
Well, here's what I would say. I say you have to hold your own in the trenches. You don't have to necessarily dominate it. You got to hold your own in the trench.
Got to be able to run.
But if you can't win press on the outside, if you can't win out there, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
you're in trouble. And I think that's the question: is can Tennessee scheme guys open? Do we see more motion stuff this week, Eric, to try to get guys on the move to make it harder to press? What do they get out of the slot position this week? I think I'm with you. It's always about the trenches. That's always going to be the number one thing. You can't blah, 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 blah. I get all that. But in this particular matchup, the biggest challenge for Tennessee, that great offense in 22, what we saw last year, Tennessee has not won enough battles on the perimeter against physical defensive backs. They're going to have to find a way to win to some degree on the perimeter in this game. I think it's a key matchup for Tennessee's chances to win. Maybe the biggest.
Tennessee and Georgia. Man, this week just kind of feels different. I mean, it's great season opening week against Syracuse last week. Home opener, that's fun. But now it's SEC play. It's Tennessee, Georgia. What a massive game for Tennessee. And, of course, a lot of things to be excited about, the way Tennessee's playing. We're going to preview this game. We're going to cover this game from every single angle this week at Volquest.com on the General's Quarters. We got the podcast coming up, several of them this week. Got a special guest on the Trail Tidbits recruiting podcast with Matt Ray this week. So much to get into, man. And if you're watching this right now, thank you. Appreciate it. If you're not a member of Volquest.com, you're truly missing out, Brent. We drop nuggets on the GQ every single day. We constant conversation. Weeks like this is why you need to be a member of Volquest.com.
Certainly. And this is fun. This is what it's all about. If you win this game, you're in a great spot where you want to be. If you lose this game, you're not out of it. It's not over, But this is the type of matchup you want to be a part of. Neyland Stadium should be electric. Tennessee's got to answer the bell and keep it electric, and they got to make it hard on Georgia on Saturday. But these are the types of games you want to cover. These are the types of games you want to dig deep into and learn more and more about. This one's going to be a fun week. We're just getting started this week. There'll be a ton of stuff to get you ready for Tennessee and Georgia on Saturday, which should be a terrific matchup between these two teams.
That is Brent Hubbs. Big shout out to Rusty Manziel of Dogs HQ for joining the show as well. And thank you guys for sending in your questions, hanging out with us here on the Rocky Top Rewind, presented by our friends over at Spivey King and Spivey LLP. If you got a problem, let them find a solution for you. That is TN Trial Lawyers. We'll be back talking to you on the General's Quarters tomorrow at Volquest.com. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, everybody.